What's up, guys?
We got guests. Woot woot. International guests. International manual mystery. Daniel Hesselberg's in the house today. Swedish ETC member. Sorry, WTC member. Former captain. And then we got you and I. The same old, same old. The short guy and the not short guy. We've got wine. Well, some of us have wine. Some of us have sent people to get wine. So I've got a team of experts working for me. My assistant went to go get wine for me, and I can't wait to have her hear that I just called her my assistant. So
also, your show, guys.
We are ready to rock and roll. We want to talk. You are the only person that's allowed to play real games of 40K, so we might actually really lean on you right now.
Into that meta of actual 40K rolling dice.
we had to do somebody that's not using a random number generator to get all his dice rolls, and actually is moving real models, not models on a simulation. We're like, where can we go in the world where they're just, ignoring all this stuff and just rocking it out?
Team Sweden is getting by far the most games in the world right now.
But hands down.
Overly practiced.
So here's what I wanted to really get in today, guys. I've been working on a lot of lists, and I'd like to talk. We talked a little bit about what we would take for ATC, American Team Championships, and I'd like to hit back on that and maybe a WTC, the World Team Championships, and talk about what kind of list we're looking at, and then talk about basically what kind of meta we have in Sweden right now, because you guys are still actively playing, because I've been talking a while with everybody about it, that I really think that the game's in a really good space meta tournament-wise, because I think that there's so many armies that are viable right now to win tournaments, but right now for us, we can't go to tournaments. So you actually have tournaments. So
actually in Sweden, we don't have tournaments. We only have had one tournament since COVID broke out. It was fairly big. It was like 120 players.
It is 100 infinity times more tournaments that we're having right now.
Yeah, but they're still playing. You guys still have stores and restaurants and stuff open, so you can still go play somewhere with friends.
Yeah, you've got still games going on.
Oh yeah. I'm getting in like 3-4 games a week. So
you're literally killing me. I'm so jelly right now. It's crazy.
But the last tournament, we had actually a very diverse top 10 field. It was really interesting. I would say the first time in a long time that it's been 5 different armies in top 5 basically.
See, that's awesome. Like, what do you remember? What everything that was there? Like, what was represented? Sort of.
We had like on the top table we had the Gene Stealer Cult Nids versus Pure Raven Guard. The second table was Chaos and Chaos Demons versus probably Grey Knights.
That's a wacky matchup with the fact that you can just bring guys back.
I just love how there's
exactly.
Daniel, can you take that hanger? Take that hanger down from behind you.
Raven Guard won. GSC came second and fourth, and third was Chaos Demons. Or Chaos. I mean, it was a Chaos soup. So it was really interesting, actually. I crashed and burned, unfortunately. Shit happens. But it was a really good tournament. And I totally agree with you that, like, I've been building orc lists, Blood Angel lists, Blood Angel and Rave Guard lists, Grey Knight lists. I've been looking a little bit at Sisters, Astra. Like, you can build viable armies with basically all of those options and a lot more options.
I love it right now. That's the thing is we've been talking, and the thing is that everybody's been trying that we talk with the tabletop simulator and stuff like that, which doesn't really give me enough. I really like it on the table. And the thing is that I really want this meta to last a little bit, and I really want this to end so that we can get back out there. Like, if right now, let's give a little bit of talk. Like, what are the you're talking about coming over to do a little bit of American Team Championship, were you not?
Yeah. We have a team lined up. If it's
So-
possible, we'll come. We'll come. The Troll Hunters, the Colster, the Troll Hunters, of course. Uh, yeah, and we're looking at. I'm not sure.
Does anybody on the team, other than yourself, even know the story?
Yeah, everyone in Sweden knows the story.
Okay.
I actually randomly call Nick when I'm at restaurants with other 40K players and force him to tell the story on speakerphone in a restaurant.
So what are you guys thinking about taking for the American Team Championships? Because right now we talked a little bit about what our teams are looking at.
Because it's not going to happen, so there's no real
No,
issue with
wait a
telling
second,
us.
you were trying to push it on me that the American Team Championships are going to happen last week. So I said there was 0% chance it was going to happen.
I just
And Alan told me
always take the
it's not.
opposite side of whatever you say.
Yes, he just whatever I say is he instantly is like, you're wrong. You're like, that is you just you made your thesis statement on that. You're like, so what are you guys thinking about taking this to the team?
Yeah, I mean, team puts everything in a different perspective, right? So I think team lists generally are very different from single tournament lists.
For sure.
So we're probably bringing some stuff that I wouldn't field in a single tournament. But as a first defender, I think orcs are really strong. We've done really good with the orcs in other team tournament events in Sweden. I've played them a lot, so I've been looking at them, and I think even though the Psychic Awakening stuff wasn't revolutionary, I think they got some nice buffs that will definitely be relevant if you want to field an orc army. So we're looking at that as a first defender. You know, pick the table and pick the opponent is really what orcs need to be super viable. But at a team tournament we went to in November, December, I took like 98 points with the orcs as a first defender. So we'll probably bring that. I would probably play it. It's nothing revolutionary. It's like really shoot the orc with 100 Gretchens, 15, 18 smasher guns, loot us, tank bust us. I'm working out with a new upgrade. I think it's good. A war boss, 3 shock attack guns, a weird boy, and a custom force, basically.
Will you take the subcultures with the grots to get the better
of course.
save?
That's a no-brainer. I think. Hitting a force, rerolling ones, you're gonna hit, and exploding sixes, you're gonna hit so much shots with the smash.
Yeah, we were talking about a similar list, Daniel. Last week we were talking about something very similar with the grots being popular and the subculture.
Yeah, Alan's not a big fan of the grots. He likes real orcs.
Yeah, but I think putting that on, you choose the open table, like a really terrain low table, and then you just take away the worst opponent from the two put on you in a pairing scenario. You're gonna win all your games.
I could see that on that. It's a great defender on that.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've been playing a ton of Raven Guard, so I'm definitely gonna probably take that.
You're probably gonna win over that. So I wouldn't choose to play against Raven Guard in that scenario.
for sure, but that's the best part about a team tournament is the fact that you say Raven Guard's the hard counter for that kind of orc list. Well, you just deny it and take the other list and take another good list out of it.
Exactly. So the second one would probably been a Raven Guard Blood Angel list. I've been playing that combo for a long time, all year actually. I just changed now to Grey Knights like the other week when I realized I'm not going out anymore. So I started painting my Grey Knight army. I've done, I don't know, 35, 40 games maybe with it. Lost 3 or 4 games in total. It's really solid.
What are you playing with the Grey Knights right now?
Grey Knights, I'm still exploring Grey Knights, so I don't have great record with my Grey Knight list.
What was the BARG list?
It's basically Blood Angel Detachment battalion with 3 5-man units of scouts, Sanguinor, Astaroth, 15 Death Company with 3 hammers, and 9 or 10 sanguinary guards. And then the Raven Guard part is a chaplain with Master Ambush, a smash captain with advance and charge bubble, warlord trait, 3 5-man units of intercessors, 6 bolter aggressors, 6 assault centurions, and then you have like, I don't know, somewhere around 50 points left. I've been playing around with those a little bit.
Solid, though. It's a very aggressive list.
Super
really
aggressive.
Put down a lot of fire.
Yeah, it's super aggressive. So when you go first, you like automatically win. But what I've seen over time I've been playing this in single events primarily, and what I've seen over the last year is that the terrain pieces are getting more and more dominant in all tournaments I go to. So today, like the work list I talked about previously, doesn't work in a single tournament because I can't shoot my smasher guns because everyone can hide everything all the time.
I had the same problem with the exorcists at LVO. Everyone's just hiding all the time, so I couldn't shoot anything.
So even going second with this Blood Angel Raven Guard list, I feel you can move up into the big L loss blocker type air terrain in the center board. And sure, people can shoot indirect at you, but you have so much toughness value anyway, so it doesn't matter. And no one can move even close to you, even if you go second. So you own the center board. In ITC, that's super important because, well, as you know, with the changes of the ITC missions, if you have the center board, you'll have the bonus. You'll probably score double points on Master the Hill or whatever it's called.
King of the Hill on it.
Yeah.
I take that in every, tell you the truth, that's the secondary that I take most often now because with the way that the bonus works and everything, I think that your army has to be able to take the center of the board. So you're going to want to go there anyways. So why? And you can take it in 2 turns. So King of the Hill, if you put a whole bunch, 4 units or whatever in the middle of the board, and basically turns 2 and 3, boom, all of a sudden you have King of the Hill done. So it doesn't even matter after that.
Yeah, and I mean, that army, if I go second, I mean, especially in ITC when they removed Seas, which has made this army even better. I forlorn up the death companies up in the center, ruin, whatever. I master ambush the aggressors in there. I deep strike the centurions. I put the scouts in there. The characters are behind. You can't shoot at them. And the intercessors, they're, deployed on objectives in the backfield. So you can't move up there.
Yeah, welcome to being shot to hell.
Yeah, exactly. And sanguinary guards, they can get on an objective behind the ruin further back because you use wing of fire them and toss them in wherever you want them later on.
I like that a lot. I like my biggest thing in list right now is anything that I'm taking has to be able to take the center of the board and has to have basically volume of shots because I think that there's going to be a lot of horde armies, but you got to have just enough shots because I think that mech armies are making a comeback. I think that you're going to see a lot of, for instance, Eldar. I think
Eldar is really solid, of course. It's super good, I think. Yeah.
I think there's we were talking, I think there's just multiple builds of Eldar right now you can bring. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the boringness of it, but Eldar mech with Wraith Lords is actually like really good for denial. I actually like that a lot in a team setting, just to take on tough opponents and just kind of sit there and just take your points no matter what your opponent does.
I'd like to see your council again.
I've been playing that. I've been playing Double Spears and Seer Council.
Yes.
And with a unit of Reapers, actually, in a Wave Serpent. It's very aggressive, but it gets the job done. And the thing is that the shenanigans, and it's not like a secret tech or anything anymore, but with the Wind Rider host, being able to assault something you don't really have business assaulting and then just leaving is so good, because anything that goes through D3, D3 wounds on everything. So you can do some damage, leave. And then people overcommit on Seer Council a lot, which I think is always a mistake, but you can just bounce away, hide behind, whatever line of sight blocker you have. And people just worry that that's going to happen again and just try to do too much to bother with the Seer Council. It's great. Anytime you can disrupt your opponent, I think is a good thing. Get them out of their game plan or their mindset. So we've got 2 potential armies for your team. What do you got? You got 3 more. What do you got? What's in the mix? Like, what are you leaning towards?
We're definitely doing, or we're probably doing Gene Stealer Cult and some kind of nids. It's just I like that. I literally never won against that army, so
still have PTSD from.
That's one of your better players though in Sweden too, right?
Yeah, but he's not coming. But it's his type of army. Yeah. I've never won against it. I hate to play against it because the other player is dictating the entire rhythm of the game. You're just trying to answer to whatever he's doing over.
They have a lot of stuff that can break your normal sets too, because of the 3-inch away, the move after the deep strike, and all that kind of stuff. Your normal plan, it actually messes me up a little bit because I use a lot of infiltrators and stuff like that, and I'm used to just being able to have them super far away, but then they can actually break those type of things.
So we're probably bringing that, and then AS keyword. That list is out there. We're not sure. We're playing around with the possessed bomb, of course. A little bit different than other things that we've seen. More Rubik Marines, stuff like that. I really like those.
Possessed bomb in that format is really strong because you can even force matchups too. So you could say like either deal with possessed bomb or this, and you can give the second list a better option because they definitely don't want to play the possessed. So it's really strong.
I like them as a big threat. I like possessed bomb a lot as a threat in a team tournament because of the fact that you can put them out there and you can just make the person deny those and just go with something else.
Yeah, and if it's a weak army against Psychers, you could even throw out like the Seer Council and Possessed to attack the same thing. So it's like no matter what, you got to go against an army with like heavy psychic.
Especially like an army they can't take care of. It's weak against psychics and just characters in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean exactly.
For 100%, I agree with that.
We're looking at like Slanish possessed bomb with the mirror included. A lot of spells from.
That's the best that you can actually suck up. The Grey Knight match is so.
Yeah, check
with that. You're just leading with the epitome, just the mirrors up there. You just go, okay, well, you're about to get a 2-up save on all of your smites. So
we actually talked about that. I think people are playing Grey Knights a little bit one-dimensionally.
Yeah, we did talk about this.
I've never changed into smite doctrine with Grey Knight in 6 games. I've never done it.
Really?
No. I think there's so much more. I'm not saying it's really good. It's huge. It's super good. I'm just saying there's so much more with. I think the shooting doctrine and the defensive doctrine are so good. I've never felt the need to go that way. I'm not saying it's right or wrong or whatever. It's probably based on whatever you're facing, but. I've never even gone that way. So I totally crushed our own chaos list when we played it. When I played Grey Knight against it, obviously, maybe because you get other benefits of being Grey Knight. But the chaos list is really solid. And then the last list is either Grey Knights or Eldari keyword. And we haven't chosen. It's Robert playing it, and he's really used to both those codexes. So either way he wants to go, is fine for me, really.
I mean, both are super strong, but they have their own things that they do. 100%. I see. I love the team. You guys actually have more team tournaments than we have in the European, especially Sweden. You guys have a decent amount of team tournaments, so you guys get more reps in than we do as far as team tournament wise.
Yeah, I mean, we have one big one, and then we have a few small ones, and then there's a few ones in Europe as well that some of us try to participate.
Yeah, it's easier for you to get there. We just have the ATC. That's the only one we have.
I mean, for us to go to England is for you to go, from your place to Chicago almost. No, it's like $100 plane ride.
Yeah,
maybe not for Alan, because
for us to get over there, it costs a little bit more. We're like, we should go to this team tournament in Europe. It's only 6,000 miles away. It's not a big deal.
But like ETC format teams, like where it's 1v1 with pairings and stuff, the only tournament we have here is ATC. That's it. There's no other event that I know of. Brad, is BFS trying to do one? Or they have done one, but it's smaller though, right? Like 3-man teams.
I think they're the 4-3. I think it's 4-man teams. But either way,
the last time I went, it was 3-man, but they were talking about expanding, so I don't know if they've done that yet.
So, but yeah, you just have more of those. I really, really like the team format a lot.
I love all team formats. I mean, the reason I play 40K and why I don't play the digital version that you can play is because for me, 40K is not that much about the game. I mean, to be honest, I've played 40K since '92. There's a lot of versions of 40K that have had horrible rules. Like, it's not hardly been a functional game. I think today we have a good game, but it's like end of 7. It was horrible.
The worst game ever.
What are you talking about, Mike? Gladius? Rhino Rush army of like free 2,500 points of vehicles that you could never get through? It was awesome.
Yeah. And the 5th was horrible. The Codex Script with Grey Knights.
Autocannon blasts, 37 autocannons. Get off my board.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't play those at all. I don't jump on.
You played both of those.
Yes. If you choose every bandwagon army from every edition since 2nd, that's what I played. You're like, what army is good? I just bought that yesterday.
I don't think you ever played Necrons, the 3 monolith army in 4th.
No, because we had William playing that. We called it the end of fun.
Yeah,
that army was too boring and lame to play. You know what Necron army was super fun to play, and I enjoyed the shit out of it. And I'm going to bring up a Daniel story on this. Was Scarab Farm.
Scarab Farm. Where is my Pokeball Necron Lord? You dirty thief monger.
Daniel at Adepticon, I feel, put a guy in shell shock. He was basically just rocking back and forth because I think he was playing Eldar. And Daniel the guy has no clue how far you can make the assault. He just starts making scarabs and just chaining them together. And all of a sudden does an assault and goes, I'm assaulting your army. He's like, so what are you assaulting? He's like, no, really, I'm just assaulting, everything over there, I declare. And grabs his whole army after he just made like a 39-inch charge that would have been in the beginning of the turn, because he kept chaining these scarabs and then moved and then advanced. And he basically was grabbing Farseers that were on his very back edge in a piece of terrain that were now in combat. And the guy just had this look on his face of like, I don't even know, is this legal? Can you actually do this? Like, what the hell is going on? I'm just watching his game with this dude just literally losing his mind over what is happening right now.
It was the same guy that wanted me to roll out the 48 scarabs fighting his one Farsi on the bike.
He goes, you just want to pick him up? He's like, no, I think you should roll it out. He goes, I've got 100 and whatever attacks. He's like, he could probably do it. And he goes, then he rolls it out. He goes, okay, take 125 saves. And the guy's like, all right, I probably won't make those. It just finally pulls him. You're like, why did you make me do this?
That was a lot of models, though. I remember Daniel complaining about the number of models that was, and his back reaching across the entire board on his opponent's side the entire time. He's like, I wasn't built for this army list.
Fat guys shouldn't play assault armies.
Yeah, exactly. Fat guys should not play assault armies. But
I'm not gonna lie, I love the rule so much, and it took him 8 editions to figure it out, that you can't. Apparently, there was just an earthquake in Sweden, because I don't know what just happened to your screen.
There's always earthquakes
I'm
there.
just moving on my computer.
But now I can't see the random hanger hanging up from behind you, like the Eastern European missing hanger.
The way that it looked also,
why is it there?
The hanger also looks like it's 46 feet in the air. Is the way you're sitting.
Yeah.
So,
damn it.
I really like the fact that they finally realized that getting free things is not balanced in the game. Yeah. So you have to pay for everything, because how annoying was it when you used to show up and you're like, all right, I'm playing demons, and this is my army, and this is my bag. This is my other army that I'm going to bring, and I'm probably going to get more army than I started with this.
Yeah.
They toned that down a lot.
It was terrible, though. It just didn't feel right with your, you know what I mean? You can't even play a war of attrition on that.
It felt right to me.
Yeah, think about that. I used to actually play games playing demons, and I would end up with more points on the board at the end of the game than I started with. That's not right.
We played at 1,500 points. There was detachment or fraction. I don't remember even what you called it, but like a detachment with love letters and
formations.
Yeah, it's a formation with like blood letters and some other corn stuff. And when they died on 4-up, they came back. And you saved up for everything they killed. You saved up like blood.
Oh yeah, it was the.
So you could summon new stuff from the blood point.
Oh, the old blood tithes table.
Yeah. So on 1,500 points, we played like 1,000 points of that, and we allied it with 500 points of summoning Sench demons. And on 1,500 points, we literally typically played between 2,900 and 3,400 points, which is so much on 1,500 points.
That seems better.
You know, it gets worse when it's smaller amount. Oh, nice. It gets worse and worse when you're playing smaller amounts. So that was a really fun army in a team stuff.
And when you say fun army, you mean really fun for you and really, really not fun for your opponents.
I have a saying that it's not my responsibility to make you have fun at the game table.
See, I keep telling people that your responsibility is just not to make me have a terrible time at the table. I actually agree 100% though. Like, that's why I've been resisting the tabletop simulator stuff. It doesn't feel the same if I'm not sitting there hanging out with my friends with it. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing, is you don't get the effect of anytime I put my models on the board, it's a social event. That's the thing is, and if that's not there, if I'm not getting that social interaction, it doesn't feel like 40K to me at all. It feels like
there's better games out there if you want to play good games. But for me, it's the social part. Definitely, I would never play 40K if I had to do it from my son's room with a hanger over my head.
The hanger, it's alive. No, I couldn't agree more. As far as summoning goes, on the old days of feeling great about getting free stuff, the #1 game for me was War Games Con against Nick Rose in the championships, where I had that small orc formation where you get to take like 5 big mechs or 3 big mechs, and they're all summoning, and then a whole army of demons all summoning. And I must have summoned like 5,000 points in Rose before he like lost his shit. But yeah, it's for me too, man. I'd rather just call Daniel in Sweden and talk to you for an hour while I go grocery shopping with a mask and gloves on and that'll get me enough of a
while
community
I'm
feel.
in a bar enjoying Corona.
Were you at a bar or were you on the bus last time? I can't remember. It's been a couple times.
You want to hear? I want to give you guys how dumb Americans are right now. This is why we keep getting made fun of internationally. So I got sent a picture from the grocery store where all of the beer was taken except for the Corona. You know, that's a real picture I got from someone. There was some big stacks of Corona there. Everything else is gone.
That might mean we could get it at a discount. It's good beer with a lime, a little bit of salt.
I mean, just that's when you just go, why, people? You're so dumb.
But this disagrees with a common point, though. All publicity is good publicity. Apparently not for Corona.
Not for Corona. Not when it's Americans and we can't figure out that it's not the beer that's causing the illness, apparently.
That's
no one knows. It's so confusing.
Yeah,
the whole shelf is full of Coronas.
So before all this hit, where were you on the meta in America?
Say again?
Before all of this hit, where were you sort of, what was happening in the meta in America? The last tournament I saw was
the last big tournament
finals,
was...
losing to Ziegler, and Nathan did really good with his...
yeah, the problem is that this is before the balance change. So the last really big tournament we had was LVO. And then we were all getting ready for Adepticon and playing in small tournaments. Yeah. And the local tournaments, like I played in a couple events that were, 30-ish man kind of deals, like decent size for a local event. And that's what I really liked, is the meta was pretty all over the place after the balance change, because it was so much better with that. Because the problem, like for instance, in LVO, my finals, to get to the final game, I played Iron Hands, then Iron Hands, then the exact same list, point for point, Iron Hands in the finals. And then I had played Iron Hands, in my 6 previous games, or 8, whatever many games I played, 6 previous games. And they were just so dominant in the meta that it made the meta very stale. And you had to it did make it so people were bringing straight Marine counters, which was kind of cool to see. So you got to see a couple lists that I really liked. I really liked the Necron Flyers plus Doomsday Arc list, because it really did well.
The tournament I told you about, I think I was actually lying. I think we had Necrons on top 5, not 2 GSC. So we had a Necron up there as well.
I really think that list counters Marines a lot, and depending on what you pull, that list is deceptively good. Especially taking on big things, because the quantum shielding comes into play quite a bit on that. But right now, I really wish we were getting more games in, because of the fact that I think that you've made the Marine armies more diverse. Because what happened is everybody that was bringing Iron Hands, the people that wanted to bring Ultramarines ended up bringing Iron Hands, because of the fact that Iron Hands just worked better with that same army. But now that they don't, because they have to switch out of Devastator Doctrine, and the Ultramarine players can stay in tactical. Yeah,
that same army. Keep 2 units in tactical the entire game.
Exactly. And then you can actually have units that, aggressors, whatever, stuff like that, moving and shooting, and be a dynamic army. And the Ultramarine characters are really, really strong. Tigurius is insane.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was looking at some other armies for that. I saw a couple NID things come out, but we haven't got a chance to really get any of the big tournaments. Adepticon was going to be our big, the biggest tournament that has the new meta. And we were all talking about bringing, literally everyone was talking, in my playtester group, my friends and stuff like that, everybody was talking about bringing a different type of army. And that was making me really excited for that tournament. Obviously we wanted to go and hang out, it's always same thing social, but like, as far as meta wise though, I was very excited to play in a big tournament where you don't know what you're going to face. You could play 4 games on that day, 4 different opponents playing different armies. And that's just way more enjoyable than knowing that I'm going to play this at least minimum half of the tournament every time.
We're in limbo right now. We're waiting to see what happens. But right now there is no meta. No one's playing anything here. So
I still want to prove Alan wrong that Space Wars is really good.
No, Space
Projected that you'll be back at 40K in August?
We have no idea. I mean,
Yeah.
right now I'm just bummed out after talking about ATC and the fact that it's not going to happen, and I'm going to miss all my Swedish friends from coming over. We were going to hang out in Miami, maybe. Now it's all gone.
We have 100% that we're done till basically everyone's done till April 30th, and then they're revisiting after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's state by state, so each state is a little different. Illinois is pretty bad. New York is pretty bad. California is pretty bad. Washington is pretty bad. I think in Illinois we had like over 1,000 deaths yesterday.
We're actually picking up right now, unfortunately.
Okay, you guys are too?
Yeah, we're still way below you guys, but we are just starting to get in our swing. So we're going to get worse before we get better because we just started picking up.
We're also collecting Michigan's people overflow.
Yeah, we're also basically we're taking all the Michigan people, the state connected to us. We're for those across the way. We're taking all the Michigan people. Patients are coming down here also because of the fact that they're pretty packed.
Yeah.
I'm worried a little bit about Florida because Florida just put everybody, like as of 2 days ago, started their lockdown procedure, but they were actually like having spring break type stuff.
Yeah,
So I'm afraid that basically you had people from all over the place go down to Florida and effectively get
Panama City.
Whatever.
Everyone just gets contagious and then goes back where they came from.
It goes back to where they were, and the problem is that you might have had a community that was already past it, and then you bring Bill that just went down to Florida, and he comes back with it, and then just basically starts the whole process over again.
Must be evil Bill.
Basically,
I mean, normally after spring break, you only bring with you STDs. So
exactly. Now you're bringing the bonus. The
COVID. Yeah. Well, maybe if you drink enough Corona on spring break, you won't get the Corona.
You would kill it off.
Have you guys? Are there any armies that are really weak?
I was thinking about that. I don't.
Probably armies that haven't gotten psychic awakening yet.
The custodes
Knights.
haven't got anything.
Yeah.
The thing is knights are still knights though. The problem is that
but they're weak in the format. They're just not good at scoring objectives.
I don't know if they're weak the thing is that they can still kill more, and refuse kills.
Yeah.
So the army actually works. The problem is that
I feel like they just get tabled by turn 3-4.
Well, that's my problem with a knight army. It's the kind of army that if you play in a tournament, you're always going to lose one game, probably auto, but you'll probably get some really quick big wins.
Yeah, it's probably a 4-1, 3-2, 4-1. Yeah,
4-1, 3-2 type of list. I agree 100%. The problem is that if you play your counter, it's so quick, and you just because once you start losing knights, you start losing so much firepower too.
Yeah, I think it's weak. I think custodes are weak, knights are weak. What else is weak?
You know what I think's underrated, guys? And I said that, I don't know if I said this last week on that. I think AdMax really, really strong.
Yeah, we have one player in Sweden. He's doing good with it. Richard. I think too few players play it. It's hard to judge it.
Your camera's like perfectly cut off just above your lips. So like I can't tell you're talking because you're too far away. There you go. That's better. Now I can see your belly. I would say AdMech is definitely above a lot of other armies for sure. I don't think it's super underrated. I think it's a little underrated, but it's not top tier. AdMech's not competing with Eldar, Tau, or Iron Hands.
I think it's tier 2. So if you go tier, the tiers and stuff, I think it's a tier 2 army.
Hey, there's bread.
But I think it's solid. I think it's underrated if you play. A lot of people think that they're playing AdMech and they're just going to walk through it. The thing is not that many people are playing AdMech. That's the whole thing. Tired of clothes, baby?
Yeah.
my lovely Brittany walked off to the side and just because she had to go to the store for the wine and immediately just threw off her clothes and is now putting pajamas on. She's like, this is ridiculous. This whole regular clothes thing.
Don't fucking judge me.
Pajama pants is in pajama pants. Loving life, living large.
He knows what's up.
My Batman ones. I would say AdMech are above Necrons. I think Necrons are overall weak. I think they have some interesting counter armies. But when you say like what armies are weak, I look at like what armies do I think would I be surprised that win a GT, like a 60-person tournament, 3-4 rounds, 5 rounds, maybe 5 rounds. I'd be surprised to see Necrons win.
Dark Angels.
Dark Angels, yeah, Dark Angels, pure Dark Angels.
I think Dark
pure,
Angels
pure
have
a lot of
a
stuff this
great
week.
supreme command, but I think Dark Angels are a great army for you to stick into another
Into
army.
another army, yeah, especially like with some negatives to hit.
You bring Samuel and 2 Talon Masters, and you just put them in another army that has better stuff.
Yeah,
because.
But I mean, with the changes to Space Marines now that you have to move around in the doctrines stuff,
it encourages you to take stuff together. Yeah,
exactly. It doesn't encourage us to start souping up again.
I would say, yeah, definitely within the Space Marine chapters for sure.
And I like those armies so much better because they give you more tactical flexibility.
Yeah.
Now that you have to change, and I think that's a great thing. I actually really like.
I don't think that was the point from GW from the beginning. I think they wanted to streamline that into not souping up. But with the changes now, I see no reason not to team up with other armies when I'm playing.
100. As soon as that happened, I started just figuring, taking different stuff together, taking, a detachment of this, a supreme command of this. I mean, a Dark Angel Supreme Command is amazing. I just think that the rest of their army is overpriced, for what they do. You can just get other stuff that's more efficient. Because in the end, if you're not trying to make, a fluff type army of this, you're just looking for whatever the most point efficient units are for each detachment. So you're going to take 2 or 3 detachment with the best point cost ratio of basically damage per point that you can get.
Yeah, or toughness per point, depending on what way you want to go with it. Yeah.
I think Sisters are now top tier. I think they're up there, just below some of the. If you were to consider top tier, top 5, I would say Sisters are 5th.
I haven't seen them live yet, but at least 2 or 3 really solid players in Sweden have bought vast amounts of, $1,500 worth of Sisters.
They're just really, really strong. They're resilient and they have a lot of tricks. And I think with Miracle Dice, they're even
it's the shenanigans that you can get people with. It's being immune to AP2 and then having things like Miracle Dice and getting your characters back and stuff like that. You can do a lot of tricks that can deny people a lot of points.
Yeah, and I think they mix in real well with other armies.
And the Seraphim shooting multiple times, the Seraphim, you know what I mean? Like having mobile melter guns is crazy. You know what I mean? That's just a scary unit in that fact. Of just going, hey, what are you going to do? Melta, lots of them. And they're going to reach out and touch you. Christmas hat.
On another topic, is there any point of figuring out the meta when 9th is coming? Any month?
So basically GW, and this is me, I do not know when they're releasing anything. You know what I mean? I don't have insider info on that kind of stuff. But most everybody thought that they were going to release the 9th edition at Adepticon, when they were doing because they do a big release every year for Adepticon. And then they did their release instead of that Saturday, last Saturday.
And we got Fabulous Smile.
Right, and then we got Fatty Smile, exactly, for their big thing, and they did some stuff today. I would say, if this is me completely guessing, but nobody wants to announce a new edition when 0 people can play it, except for the Swedish. They would come out with a Swedish edition of 40K. So, and then, maybe the Finns, because they've already been practicing social distancing their entire lives because no one stands within 6 feet of each other, no matter what. So.
And there's no chance of saliva because they don't talk.
Exactly. Absolutely nothing going on. So, but with that, we've got also, for some unknown reason, I've got Daniel on 2 screens right now. Let me close that out. When you made me do the NVIDIA stuff, it just made Daniel show up twice. Twice is nice, but I can't imagine that they want to put out, announce like their big product in the middle of absolutely not, no sales are going to happen. You can't go to their stores right now.
Correct. Yeah. So I think it's all going to be on hold for a while.
In theory, it could be a good idea because people are home playing and stuff. But I mean, if they can't produce it, it seems like a bad idea.
What is this noise right now?
Sorry.
I mean, in theory, if everyone could get their hands on it, it would be a good idea, right? Because people are home playing, people have more time than usual. Like if you look at the stock exchange, for example, companies like online gaming companies are going up while everyone
Oh,
else
they're
is
killing it because of the fact that people don't
yeah,
have
but
an
everyone
option.
is home, bored as fuck.
Yeah, that's why people are doing the companies that are doing online anything basically are killing it right now, and they're doing it. Most of them are doing a really good job of trying to give people sales and opportunities while you're at home to try their product or whatever else. And I think that's the only way to do it. I mean, capitalize on everybody's misfortune.
I've been saying that it would be a good time if we could get our hands on the game. You know, if
If
buy it would be a good
lockdown
time
was
because people
slightly
have
less, if they did it so that it was just smaller gatherings and you could go to a game store and purchase your stuff, then maybe yes. But as
or
right,
imagine they sold like something that was adaptable to like online. Have an app.
Joe, we've been don't get Ellen started. Don't get Ellen started.
And you could pay like they can do MRR, right? Monthly recurring revenue, and you can get all the updates into your app.
I would buy.
And you could pay like I don't know, $5, $10 a month, and you just have it.
Alan's been harping on this so hard for so long. It's so hilarious. The best part about it is they already have it.
So
in
excited right
AOS.
now. I'm so excited.
And it would also be really good for their stock value, because if you have a high MRR, you can get valued up to 12 times your turnover.
I kind of want to
selling products where you get
we should literally put up a poll on the Facebook sites and stuff like that, because I want to know how many people would be willing to pay, because I would in a second. I would pay a subscription.
$12.
Let's not break the internet, guys.
And their content sucks. This is content I want. I could easily pay $20 a month.
I mean, if you could have a tournament app that had an army builder with all of my army, like they right now in the AOS,
all the updates,
have all your current up-to-date rules, and I just go, hey Daniel, we're about to play a game. Here's my list, and you look over every unit that has every rule for it, and
like all the stratagems I can use. All the other are blanked out because I don't have Perguration Squad, so yeah, I don't need to learn those.
It's yes, and more yes. We would all be willing to pay for this. I don't understand. I mean, I think that it was most evident when LVO, the biggest tournament we have, doesn't have basically have a format of how you have to put your list in and stuff like that. But there's no real way that anybody accepts lists right now. And then we had in the middle of the tournament, Alan can vouch for this. Day one, we had a total of 4 hours of delays. 4 hours of delays because of BCP. And the BCP guys are great. They do a free service. But if you're running professional tournaments, there's no way you can't have any software that is able to run a tournament. You know what I mean? It's just crazy that we have this. And it's not like it's a new game. It's not like we came out with 40K last year. You know, we're into 20-some years of tournament play. No one's put out anything. I mean, BCP put it out, but it doesn't, they don't have it for large tournaments. It just doesn't work for that. And
I started when I was 12. I have a son who is 13 now. It's it's like
no one wants to know that you actually had the son the next year after you were 12. Ellen, you look very lost in thought after Daniel mentioned this app. I think we've put you in a spiral, and you're designing the app right now.
I may be coding right now. No, I was gonna say, like, we literally already talked about this, and yeah, this is what they should be doing. They're probably paying a lot of their employees right now to just basically stay at home and randomly stream on their channel painting.
Yeah,
But instead, get these guys designing an
I'm
app.
serious about this thing. I think we should put it in the Warhammer community sites, the competitive 40K and stuff like that, and put it as like a poll on different Facebook sites, and then basically just send the data over to the Warhammer community people. I mean, I could just email it to different guys. You know what I mean? Just to say, we just put this out and you got X amount of thousand responses of people that said, yes, I would pay, X amount every month for this service. Is that basically enough interest to make this type of app? You know what I mean? to actually get this going. There's one thing to gripe on podcasts, and there's another thing to do. Let's try to actually be put it.
Yeah, but don't you think they know that? I mean, they must know that. AOS has an app. They talked about making a 40K app,
You see
and then
that
they
kind
had
of
some
stuff all the time,
difficulties
and
with it.
you know what I mean. We assume everything. You know what I mean. But the problem is they have to ask themselves, are people willing to pay for it? So you have to do that, because if you put a lot of investiture and time and man hours into this, and then people just want to use the free app. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, isn't BCP free? Are people using that?
I mean,
Are people using
seriously,
JavaScript?
build an app of this quality will probably take less time than writing all the fluff for each coding.
I agree on that. I'm just saying that there has to be interest in it, and I think that people don't want to take risks on it. So I feel that, like, if we basically show them that, hey, we've got all these people that are willing to spend money, that they might be more inclined to actually put a team together on it. I mean, that's just my opinion on it. In my not,
I agree 100%, Brad. Why don't you take the lead on this one? I'm excited to see you flourish.
we all
in
know
your
that I don't
approach.
know how to make a poll on Facebook, so I don't know why you're saying stuff.
Which is why I said I agree with you 100%. I'm looking forward to you leading this initiative.
But I think that I'm gonna figure this out. And when I say figure it out, I mean ask Alan to do the poll for me in different places. But I will definitely send it into them, though. 100%. No, I'm strong about. I feel strongly about this after we talked about it a bunch. I mean, it's not like it's just us and it's a small thing. We literally did not bring this out to Daniel before we started talking, and he has the exact same opinion. Mirroring what we just said. We were talking a week or two ago about it. So that's one of the things that I really think has to happen, because I don't like, we know how much I feel about hating gotcha moments. I don't like when people spring random shenanigan rules stuff and stuff, things of that nature. And I think that this makes the game an easier game. So right now, we've got Ellen and Daniel at the top table, and you both have each other's rosters and the access to each other's stratagems.
We've actually never played before.
No, we only played together.
Nice.
No,
we've
only played together in the same team.
You guys form Voltron. That's the only way you can play.
And then literally we both kind of said what we wanted to do to each other on turn 2 of one round, and we were both like, you're pretty good at this game. Because we said the exact same thing. We both looked at each other and we said, so we're just gonna sit here, right, and let him come to us and then kill him? And Daniel's like, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, all right, cool.
I like it. I like it a lot. No, but I was saying, like, if you could know you basically have no impetus to go into much explanation. If I give you my list and all the things that I can do, then you don't have to worry about rules, questions, or anything else, because they're all right there. You know what I mean? You have the latest version of my stuff. That always drives me crazy, that you have to look things up. If I can send you all my rules, that's so huge in a game. Because all I want to do is drink my red wine and roll some dice. I don't want to have to talk about.
There's a lot of things that would go with that. Because right now, I mean, 40K for me, it's a gentleman's game. Sometimes it's like, I don't think you can do that. And then, could I please see your rules? And then sometimes they can do it, and sometimes they misinterpret it. I'm not saying anyone is cheating, right? But if I just have them when he's doing his shit, I can read his stratagems that is available to him with the choices he made. Boom.
Right.
So it's like 15 stratagems. I can read them, and he's going like, "I'm doing Wings of Fire or whatever." It's like, well, you're not allowed to do that because I have it here.
Right.
So,
or the other way around. You know that he is able to do it, or whatever. You know.
So it's fine.
But it's just easier for that because you know exactly what's going on, and you don't have judges coming over as much. You know, I mean, you have everything right there, and it's the most up to date stuff. So I'm 100% beside that. We went.
I think the biggest problem today, I mean, gotcha moments and stratagems, it's a problem. I seldomly see it as a problem at the top tables because everyone
knows
the codexes, right? I mean,
yeah, but if they don't, they're also pretty cool with each other too. Like when I was at LVO, most people I played didn't know what sisters did, so I was helping, like, kind of tell them, like, okay, you know, I can bring back characters to life if you kill them. I ignore -1 and -2 because of these models, and so on and so forth. So
yeah, I mean, typically I say, like, do you know my army? The things you should look out for are like these 4 stratagems or this combo or these things. If you don't know it, you know, I won't go through every fucking stratagem in the book. It will take half the game, but you know the big stuff. I'll tell.
100%.
But at the top table, this is not a problem. I'm seldomly getting, except for when I play GSE, because it always feels like you're cheating. Fair. It's like, yeah, I can do this. It's like, you're just making up.
You're making up.
Anyway.
You're like, I don't believe that you have a stratagem called "kill your army."
It's
that
like
seems strong.
Virus grenade in third.
Yeah.
It killed half your army. So, unless you had a squid.
Exactly. So the next question is, with the game the way it is right now, do you guys prefer, we already said we prefer the team format, but what would you like to see as far as a standardized, if you could choose right now, what type of game format for singles would you like to play? When I say game format, I mean, like, you know, how we play ETC, how you play Depticon, you know, whatever tournament, ITC. You guys in Sweden have a little bit different version that you guys play. What would your preferred singles tournament structure look like per game?
I'm up for everything. What I am against, I've named it corporate 40K. I hate coming to a tournament where all the tables are exactly the same. For what reason? It's the same problem that you have
what's happening here.
ITC, because the army construct has such a big importance. If the tables are exactly the same, kill more, hold more, kill one, hold one. It's not about the game. It's about constructing the army to deny the kill one, hold one.
Right. I agree. Because right now I have 9-man units of scouts because they can't be marked for death because they're 117, not 120. I don't play MSU because I don't want to get killed more.
Yeah, but what Daniel's talking about is exactly what I always harp on, is there was this variety back in the day. We have a better game now with better rules, with better armies, with more variety in the type of armies that are playable. But what we did was we standardized our mission format, and now we're standardizing tables. At LVO, 100 top 100 tables all standardized. What we need to go back to is what we had. Let me just finish. What we need to go back to is what we used to have with things like Adepticon, things like War Games Con, things like back in the day where every single mission is drastically different. The winning condition is different. It could be progressive. It might not be. It's not something you may be able to pick. It's fixed. It's not like, oh, I can pick this based on my army. I don't like the feels good 40K or the corporate 40K, as Daniel put it, where you kind of know everything coming ahead of the game. I like the surprises. I like the random, like every turn there's a lava pit in the middle of the board and it goes up by 2 inches every turn. That stuff was really cool to play around.
I agree 100%. The only thing that I would say I would rather see universal tables than bad tables, though, because you got to remember that we used to play on some tables that had no terrain and or no usable terrain. So I would rather have only a few types of tables than, you know what I mean, playing on a table that has 3 blades of grass in the middle of the table.
It depends, though, Brad. Because, for example, like the work army I presented earlier, it's a super strong army. If there aren't 2 L-type, ruins in the middle of the table, because then that army is basically unplayable, which means that one of the strongest builds that Orcs has is unplayable on most tournaments right now because all the tables are exactly the same. So if you could have, like, I don't know, 1/3 of the tables
That's
have an open middle board, 1/3 of the table has a closed middle board, and 1/3 of the tables, I don't know, have big runes in this.
No, that's actually I proposed the same thing to Reese for ITC stuff, and I asked him, I go, what do you think about having 3 basic ITC suggested terrain layouts so that you have 3 completely different tables that you play tournaments on? They all have a decent amount of terrain, but some has a little more, some has a little less, and they have, you know what I mean, different types of blocking. And so that way, your tournament format, you always have symmetrical boards, because I like symmetrical boards so that each person feels they have a fair setup, so that it doesn't really matter where you deploy, but that the tournaments themselves have enough difference in the tables. And then, of course, the missions are a separate story on that. But the more wine came up. My lovely assistant Brittany just came and gave me wine. But the fact that the tables themselves, if you have just 3, even if you just had 3, because that means that you've got 33% different in each tournament, so that each game you're playing different types. You know what I mean? But you need symmetrical type tables that feel fair, though. That's why I like predetermined setups, but I like 3 feels to me like it's enough. Also, that tournament organizers can easily make those. You know what I mean? Making 3 types of tables is not saying, go out of the order above and beyond.
Yeah. I think we're all on the same page here, but Daniel, I think we're in the minority. I do believe that the vast majority of competitive gamers, I would say definitely a lot of the top players in the US, and I would even say a lot of the mid-tier players who think they're better than they really are envisioning a future where 40K gets very ultra competitive. Like there's sponsored teams, sponsored groups. I think that's kind of where a lot of people are trying to get the game to. And as we get closer to that, you're going to see more standardization across tables. I think a lot of people liked the top 100 tables at LVO being the exact same. A lot of people were really big on that. I think it's a minor opinion that it's not. Sorry, go ahead, Brett.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I didn't mean to cut you off there. I like the top 100 tables a lot because of the fact that I knew I would have a symmetrical table with somewhere to deploy. What I didn't want was somewhere where I couldn't deploy, like tables that I can't, have nowhere to go. So I don't need the same table.
You can do small changes to this. You can go ahead with corporate 40K, but you can say, okay, you as a defender, you're allowed to remove one piece of terrain from the table.
That's pretty cool.
Any of these small things would be fantastic. I mean, tell you the truth, I prefer playing in a now WTC format, not even just team, but just I like having multiple win conditions. So, for instance, because people that haven't played this, in a WTC match, every single match you have kill points currently up to 6-point differential. Every single match you have Maelstrom, but a very modified Maelstrom deck.
Yeah.
So it's not super random. You can
18
take
cards.
Yeah, you have 18 cards. It's you can take objectives 1 through 6 once. You basically make a deck, and then you have an Eternal War, an end game mission, and or a progressive mission. Yeah. So every mission is different. You have to weigh. If I'm playing Daniel right now, I have to ask myself, is taking this objective worth giving up a kill point? But maybe I'm also scoring a Maelstrom card. And I know a lot of people hear Maelstrom and they immediately freak out. But if you play a modified Maelstrom, it's not the randomization that you're used to. It's one more thing that you have to achieve during the game. And I like that style of play a lot because it makes every game slightly different, and it makes the things you have to do not so static. I don't know that just because I killed 2 things and you killed 1 that I get more points. It's not that.
I'm gonna shock America now because I'm gonna say that it doesn't matter what format you play. It's still the same players that win.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you're not wrong there.
So let's try to play the most fun format.
I love Daniel. He's just so like zen right now. It's just awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
you're not wrong. I mean, the same people
are going to be the same top 10 guys on the top tables,
Yeah, no, I loved winning tournaments where they were standardized, but I do have more fun in fun formats, Daniel. I love games that are stupid. I walk away and I'm like, this is what happened in our game because this dumb thing was in the middle.
I'm not saying crazy. I'm not saying that there's a erupting volcano in the middle of the table and half your army died by random. I'm just saying, if you're only playing standardized table with like only ITC missions, and you meet a really bad matchup, there's nothing you can do to win that game.
Yes, but if 100%,
you're out. It's like you don't have to
because of the fact that there's no other random factors that go into it, so you don't have the option of getting a card.
You're out.
Well, what would be cool though is if we still had battle points, because then you wouldn't be out. Or if the coveted award was overall, right, with battle points being a part of painting and sports and stuff. I think we've abandoned all of that stuff.
Because you lost that game, you squeezed out a 5, but you won 20-20 the last 2 ones and ended up second anyway, even with a loss. So I mean, I'm not complaining about ITC. I sort of like ITC. It's not my favorite format, but it's okay. I'm just saying there's different ways of playing it. The corporate 40K kills a lot of armies. It kills more armies than is necessary.
So what are you recommending? Walk through what you're recommending then. What's the opposite of corporate 40K? Not the volcano. Go to your version.
No, but it could be as easily as you have like 3, 4, 5 different terrain maps. So some maps are more open, for example. That way, if you meet, like, let's say you play the work list, I said, with the smasher guns, and you meet the worst opponent you can meet, but you get an open table, you're going to win that anyway. Because you were a little bit lucky. You had a horrible matchup, but you were a little bit lucky, and you ended up on terrain table, 4 out of 6 or something.
Snegosk did a really good job of that.
So you don't decide the game building the army before the game even starts.
Yeah,
that destroys the game. Or put some variety into it. But as I said before, the defender can remove 1 piece of terrain.
I like that.
No, I mean, locally, to tell you the truth, I'll give props to my playtest partner all the time. We go to his house every week. Locally, we had the Glass City, where you were there for that, Alan.
Yeah, Jason's events are great. They have variety, and it's battle point.
He did a preset terrain, but he tried to make the tables. He did rows of tables so that each table was slightly different, same way you were asking for. You know what I mean? Where you had a little more open, a little heavier, and he had literally rows of those type of tables though. So each row had a heavy, a light, a medium, maybe like 2 mediums, 4 tables, 4 tables, 4 tables.
Bill Kim does it really well too at Michigan GT. Not to plug the event right now, but wow. Good event, good tournament run, good missions, battle points. It's really solid.
Actually, what you're saying, Daniel, Bill Kim does a really good job of that every year.
Bill Kim does exactly that.
Yeah, he does. He designs missions that are different but not ridiculous. They're not ridiculous. They're not exploding volcanoes, but each mission is different than the normal type of IT. And I'm not bashing ITC. I just don't want the same thing all the time.
We all like
Who wants to
ITC.
play? You don't want to eat meatloaf every day.
No, but and I mean, let's take the opposite. Let's say I meet Dark Eldar Venom span. I'm playing the orcs. I'm gonna win that all the time. But unfortunately, I'm playing him on a super terrain heavy table, so I can shoot anything. He's gonna beat me, and that's also fine because it's so boring that you auto win because of your army construct. That's not why you're playing the game. Also, I think you need to put, like, if we're taking ITC for example, I don't mind that, but I really like some kind of card element where you actually have to go, okay, the obvious thing I want to do now is kill that knight, but I can't do it because I have to go around this corner and stand on number 2.
Yes, I love the modified maelstrom. I'm a huge fan of having that addition because it adds a random element every turn. Because you might be trying to achieve something that I'm not trying to achieve, so it makes it different too. Because then you have to weigh your options.
Yeah.
And
that also goes into army construct and makes your army more dynamic,
right?
And not only pure power, fucking the best unit that shoots the most shots.
Exactly. And that the thing is I love stuff like that because say you have to achieve objective 4, I have to choose to achieve objective 2, but now we're later in the game and I only have enough units to either take that objective or to stop you from taking your objective. So I have to ask myself, what's more important? Can I achieve this later? And that makes the game way more dynamic to me.
Yeah.
Daniel, how did you like the Adepticon team tournament format? It was definitely different.
It was nice. I liked it. I mean, I always like Adepticon because they're actually doing different stuff, right? I mean, some matches I have there are very different, like when me and Brad plays, because we don't play the mission. Shit up.
By the way, did you ever hear about this? So
yeah, I remember.
I'm
like, they don't have pre-placed terrain at all. You have to place your own terrain. That's really
it's awesome.
Sometimes you just make up your own missions.
Thing, I don't want all tournaments to be like that, but I love going to Adepticon where they have that, and it's super nice and interesting. And sometimes you mess up, and
And by the way, as a result of the coronavirus, you are still the reigning Adepticon team tournament champion.
Tournament champion, right there. We have 2 of them. Smile. Look at that. I gotta back up. I think I was number 6,000.
We were so happy, dude. Oh my god.
You guys were number 1, and I got to of the booby prize of I got to carry your display board.
Like an idiot. You put your hands inside the back end where all of the screws, nails, and staples are, and you're like, why am I bleeding everywhere now? I'm like, because you're dumb. There was a handle. It was right there.
This is one of my favorite tournament stories, and because I'm an old man and I barely remember anything. Daniel and I are playing, and we're playing a very close game. I got up really early, and then he started coming back, and Matt Root comes up, and he's judging, and he comes up and literally looks at us, and he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And we're like, what do you mean? Like, we both look at him like he's like an idiot. He's like, you guys know that you don't have the right amount of objectives. Also, what do you guys think the mission is? And then we're playing. And he's like, you guys know that that's not at all what the actual mission is. By the way, this is turn 5 or 6. Daniel's literally making his last move on the last turn of the game. to try to win the game on a psychic and an assault. And we literally figure out that we have 1 or 2 extra objectives. We're scoring the objectives wrong. And we're playing, literally, we made up our own mission. But by the way, we agreed together that this not mission that we're playing was the right mission. So we were basically collectively agreed that we were idiots and weren't going to read, but we just thought that was what we were supposed to play. So we played an entire game that had nothing.
And who won?
What's that?
Who won?
I suck it. He failed
I
everything
played
on
my
the last.
18 charge, the red one.
He decided that he had a Hail Mary to play on the last turn, and then decided to fail all of the things. Just all of them.
That's like Pamps at ATC. Failed like 6 charges on turn 6. It's crazy.
Yeah, he came back though. I was super impressed. I'm gonna give props to Mr. Hesselberg here because I took first turn and I did an insane amount of damage, and I put it on cruise control, and all of a sudden at the end of the game, Daniel's like, I can still win if I do this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh no, this is.
I can still win the imaginary game that we made up.
Yes, he's gonna win the imaginary game we just made up.
There's actually so much more to this story because we were placing our terrain, and Brad plays terrain and I place terrain. I knew how to place terrain, Brad didn't. And then it was like, so we're playing here and here, right? And it's like, okay, then I don't want to place the terrain like this. Change this.
And then I had placed an entire piece of terrain. I had a hard time deploying on too.
Are fixed, right? So you could change your terrain. So
good times.
It's like nice being on the show, blah blah blah, whatever.
Blah, whatever.
I don't know what to say.
Play by intent. Roll your dice in the open, and 40K Jesus will make all your Forge World dreams come true.
Talk to you guys later.
Later.